Here's how your weak trademark can literally cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. My name is Andre Minkoff. I'm the founder of Trademark Factory, and in this video I'm going to share my thoughts about yet another trademarking screw up. This time around, it's Florida International University having a trademark fight with Florida National University. All right, let me start by reading from the article, and then I'll provide my comments. FIU versus FNU name fight ends with $1 million settlement after 7 years in court. 7 years. Wow. How much is a name worth? In the case of FIU and FNU, the answer is more than $1 million. That's how much Florida International University had to pay in a settlement after losing its trademark infringement case against Florida National University. The $1.135 million settlement comes nearly 7 years after FIU sued for-profit FNU over its use of the word university. The experience is bittersweet, said Stephen Peretz, an intellectual property lawyer who represented FNU in the case. We thought the lawsuit was unnecessary, but we're glad we've gotten the attorney fees. Of course, he's glad they've gotten the attorney fees. The settlement was finalized in January. The legal fight had begun in May of 2013. That's when FIU, a major state university with 2 large campuses and 4 smaller sites across Miami-Dade, sued the smaller Florida National University for changing its name from Florida National College in 2012. The lawsuit claimed FNU's similar name was infringing on FIU's trademark rights. FNU disagreed and said that its name change reflected its new university status after it became accredited to offer more advanced degrees, including a Master's of Business Administration. FNU has campuses in Hialeah and Miami. The courts sided with FNU, stating there was no evidence that college applicants had confused the 2 South Florida schools. They cited 12 other schools in the state that have the words Florida and university in their names, along with the different definitions of the word international and national. FNU then won $1.15 million in legal fees in August of 2019, a decision that FIU later appealed to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. Peretz said FNU also had an additional legal fee request of about $134,000 pending before the district court for the prior year of litigation. FIU's appeal had been dismissed as part of the settlement that has already been paid. FIU says it did not dip into any of its student fees or state appropriation to pay the $1.135 million settlement. Instead, it used funds from its self-supporting auxiliary operations, such as retail and food service operations, the school said in a brief emailed statement. Peretz later said in a written statement that FNU is obviously pleased because attorney fees are rarely awarded for the successful defense of the trademark infringement claim. But at the same time, FNU is disappointed that the case wasn't resolved amicably long ago. All right, that's a great story. There's a lot of stuff to go through. So, just to make it clear, the FNU, Florida National University, got paid not because they sued FIU, the Florida International University. They got paid because Florida International University sued them but couldn't win. So that's the important thing. Also, they did not get paid for anything that relates to the brand. They got paid because they got unnecessarily drawn into a lawsuit that lasted 7 years, and they had to pay their lawyers a lot of money. So in the end of the day, FNU didn't win anything. All they did is they got the money that will go towards FNU's lawyers, which is why the attorney is so happy that they now have they have a client that's happy because the client doesn't have to pay them because the money will come from the other side. Now, that's one part of the story. The second part of the story is, of course, the actual trademark dispute. So, one university, Florida International University, that's as descriptive as it gets, right? It gets very close to being generic. We actually had a video about New York University where I talked about it. So Florida International University got their trademark, and then Florida National University pops up, and Florida International University has an issue with that. The problem with that is there's nothing inherently unique about the name Florida International University, and so it's super difficult to enforce that against a name that's not identical but very, very close, because the weaker your trademark, the less you can do with it. The easier it is for others to get away with using a slightly modified variation of your name. And in case of Florida International University, it's really very, 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 very weak, because Florida, right, it's descriptive, tells you where it is. University tells you what it is. And so the only adjective that's somehow defining you and distinguishing you from all the other universities that happen to be based in Florida is the name International, and that by itself is not super distinctive, to say the least. And so when Florida National University popped up, I said, well, we're not international, we're national. It's very different. There's a big difference between national and international. And, with a straight face, they could make the case that it was not something that the Florida International University could enforce against them. And so it took them 7 years, 7 long years. Most businesses don't survive 7-year mark. Right? Can you imagine that? For 7 years, you're involved in a legal fight with a bigger, more, with a bigger university that has deeper pockets, and they're suing you and telling you that you can't use that name. So all of that uncertainty, and you have lawyers who are sending you bills and telling you that no, don't worry, we're going to win, but it's taking you 7 years, and then they appeal, and then there's this and emotions and trials. This is so much fun, I'm sure. And so in the end of the day, they win, and they convince the court that not only should they not have to change their name because of the demand from the Florida International University, not only would they not have to rebrand, they would also get paid by the university so that they could pay their attorneys. And indeed, that doesn't happen very often in trademark infringement cases. It's difficult to get attorney fees, especially difficult to get attorney fees in the amount that's anywhere near what you actually pay your attorneys. So in that sense, it's a win, but again, just because you got the money to pay your attorneys doesn't fix the damage that was done by 7 years of uncertainty. And now that it's over, they settled. And of course, this is something that they could have done a long time ago, but the idea that Florida International University had is we don't want to settle. We want to try to drive you out of business so that you don't compete with us. But that didn't work. Now, here's the big lesson. With institutions like this, maybe there is value to having a descriptive name. Maybe there is some value, which is what New York University did, right? So they were able to prove that they're enough well-known to enough people that they would see that when they hear the word New York University, or in this case, Florida International University, they would know the specific educational facility that offers those services. And to them, having this descriptive, borderline generic name is important because it helps them with their SEO, it helps them with recognition, it helps them with positioning. The problem with that is, first of all, like I said, you can't enforce it if a competitor pops up and changes just a tiny little bit. But also the strategy does not apply to most businesses out there. It probably applies to a fraction of 1% of businesses who could still find the advantages of the strategy of having a weak trademark but build strong positioning around it. Because look, it's never about great brands. It's always about good brands becoming great over time, about different brands becoming great over time, and best of all, unique brands becoming great over time. The more unique your brand, the more you can do with it, the easier it is to enforce it, the easier it is to register it, and the more valuable it becomes in the end of the day. So your goal when you're building your brand is not to pick the cutest name, the smartest name out there. Your goal is to make sure that the name you pick is the name you can own, the name you can enforce, and the name that you could build a legacy upon. That's how this works. And this case is a good illustration because basically you've got two universities with crappy names who spent 7 years fighting each other, and the only people who benefited from this are lawyers on both sides, right? The lawyers for the national university got paid, and lawyers for international university also got paid. The one university wasted 7 years and got nothing out of it, and the other university wasted 7 years and had to pay attorney fees to both teams of lawyers. So like I said, the only category here winning are lawyers, and unless you're a law firm, your goal is not to feed lawyers. Your goal is to create value for the people. Your goal is to build a business that works, a business with a brand that's worth something. So don't repeat this mistake. Come up with a unique brand and make sure you trademark it early on. I hope you found this video useful. Make sure you subscribe to get notified whenever the next video goes live. And if you are building something, if you're building a business, if you're building a brand for it, make sure that the name you came up with is unique. And how do you know that? Well, you do a trademark search. You do a proper trademark search, and when you join the Trademark Factory family as a client, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a proper comprehensive trademark search to evaluate the chances of your trademark being registered. If, in our opinion, your brand is registrable, we'll help you get a trademark for one flat fee with a 100% money back guarantee. If it's not trademarkable, you can get all your money back, or you can work with us until you pick a name that you love and that we tell you is fully trademarkable. So it's completely risk-free. It's guaranteed result for guaranteed budget. That's what Trademark Factory is all about. So if that's something that you feel could benefit you and your business, go to trademarkfactory.com, book a free call with our strategy advisor, and they'll be able to get you started. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.